This is the Astrology Show podcast with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. This is your astrology and tarot for the week starting April the 15th. Aries, well, enough money to make a big difference is now in the picture. Taurus, the bull, linked to bull markets and gold bullion, rules your cash flow this week, and we find a stack of factors all in Taurus. So being on the receiving end, or giving, is not in question. That's going to happen. But you also need to look at the psychology behind what is going on, because, of course, if you gratefully receive, there is a question here about being indebted or what you owe somebody. And if you are lucky enough to be giving, lending, donating, and so on, paying out, then again, there's this rather tricky question about what's the actual story behind the transaction. So it's not just about a financial transaction this week, it's about the story behind the story. And you do all need, or both need, to look at that as well. But there's no doubt here, there is a very happy exchange. Taurus, well, you're about to discover a method that will help you for years into the future with your peace of mind and your well-being. It may be meditation, hypnosis, or spiritual healing. It may be cognitive behavioral therapy. There is a stellium or big astrological signature in Aries this week, one sign behind yours. And that rules dreams, sleep, it rules prayer, and it rules therapy and your inner world. We also find patterns here that talk to you about a practical way through, because you are a practical earth sign. So it's not like you to be caught up with matters of the mind when everything's all in your head. You want a way out of this, and you want a way that will work for you night after night, and it will. So you're either going to go back to that this week and use what worked for you again, or you are going to find a new method or technique that will give you that grounded, earthed feeling that you need. Gemini. Well, this is really like a song that you may know called She Works Hard for the Money. That's one of the lines. But I'm also sure that you know A Hard Day's Night, working like a dog. This week is about fair effort, fair labour for a decent, steady flow of income. And it really depends upon your own profession, your life as a student, or maybe you're making something that doesn't actually turn out to be financial for you, but it has worth. So it may be a lot of cakes, for example, or a lot of pottery plates. Whether it's that or you're actually in big business, still shows up in your chart. And there's something quite reassuring this week about knowing that you are an artisan, you have a high standard, you know how to deliver the same quality every time, you are a reliable source for others. And if that makes you reliable income, well, so much the better. In the background is an apartment, a house, or an office, and motivation. Cancer. Well, rest, recovery, repair, rejuvenation, and even a kind of reincarnation are showing in your chart. You have really been through it, Cancer, with Ceres right opposite your sign since 2024 began. And an opposition in your chart is like an opposition on the football field. You have to take it, get through it, and then come up again later. So this week is about that transition just before you come up again. Also in the story, a separate but related issue is the relationship between mother and child. This comes from the South Node in Libra in your chart. Now, this may be you speculating on having a child in your life. It may be your memory of your mother and yourself. It may be your feelings about a woman and a child in your life, and so on. But it's there. And as you're ruled by the moon, which is all about that maternal bond, this week does push those buttons for you. But as I said, the main thing is that you are in transition with recovery, rest, repair, and a kind of reincarnation. Leo, your ninth house of books, readers, media, writers, publishers, students, Academics and knowledge is packed this week. A whopping 9 asteroids, planets, nodes, and other objects are showing you how circular life can be. Every high is a low eventually, and every low is a high. In the tarot, this is the Wheel of Fortune. In fact, Leo the Lion is shown in the card, so keep your sense of humour. All of this is down to Mercury retrograde. This planet is in your zone of readers and writers, authors, the internet, and so on. And it's going round and round, backwards and forwards, spinning like a top until the middle of May. So there is flux in your life, and it pays to be philosophical about it because sooner or later everything comes back up again in your favour. Virgo. Well, we have to ask what the big idea is this week, because it really is quite big. A striking proposal, plan, concept or brainwave is set to appear. You have Bacchus in Scorpio in your third house of the internet, the media, education and publishing, but you also have a stellium in Taurus in your ninth house of the higher mind and big advanced ideas. So as an earth sign, you know that it's great to have these floating around to talk about them or think about them, but you have to ground them in the real world or they just fall over. And so that's what's going to happen this week. You'll see a chance to take this out of the ether or out of your head and do something absolutely practical about it, finding the right environment for the concept, the notion or the pitch before it has its time. So time is very much of the essence this week. Libra, the only real question now, do you go back to improve a situation, even completely restructuring it at home or work, or do you walk away and embrace a fresh start? We begin the week with oppositions in Cancer and Capricorn, which describe your home, household and family at one end, and at the other end, your career, academic career, and success in life. This produces a big push and pull in your chart, so you may feel divided about what to do. There is also a suggestion here that you could roll up your sleeves and get to work, rehabilitating, renovating, or saving, maybe rescuing a situation because you think it's worth it to go back and try again. But there is another group of Librans, and maybe you're among them, who look at what was there and think, well, it really wasn't that fulfilling anyway, and take this opportunity to leave it where it stands or where it's just fallen and move on. Scorpio. Well, the picture in the heavens this week is all about financial security. Ops is an important asteroid. She is the wife of Saturn, and here she is in your sector of houses and apartments, property and real estate on all levels, together with powerful Pluto for the first time in 248 years. So the property market is very much in the background. In the foreground is financial stability and security up to a point. There is a suggestion of bubbles here, so you may want to look at the reality of the bubble that you're in. However, there is also every chance here to find real control and real power through some aspect of the property situation, be you renting or owning or investing. Sagittarius, there is action in your zone of achievers and achievement this week. Juno shows a commitment. Meanwhile, you have a huge amount of factors in Taurus, which rules work, unpaid work, the system, the pecking order, the hierarchy, and so on. This can stretch from university or college life to the home, but it's more usually about a corporation or business. What you must do this week is figure out the politics. There will be a changing of the guard, a big switch at the top. You may actually be the crowned or uncrowned head, or you may be in the rapidly changing court. So much depends upon where all the pieces fall. This is the typical kind of week when you're going to see a demotion or promotion, a departure or arrival, an elevation, but also a big scattering in the mix. And it doesn't really matter where you fall in the scheme of things. You have to figure out where you stand or don't stand with the other people involved. Capricorn. Well, this week is about pure pleasure through the group and from the group, with Bacchus in your zone of circles, people power, and communities. There is a real sense of purpose here. It's not just mum's net or a tennis team, it's a website which has clout or a collection of players who could change the game. In your natal chart as well, Capricorn, you have Pluto with all his power in Aquarius, which rules your house of united effort. This question about who or what is in control of the group is important. You have to have somebody front and centre, and maybe it's you this week or maybe it's another person, but the understanding here between the circle is that you can take turns. Not everybody can be a star, but you can all share being a star at different times. Aquarius. With Juno in your finance zone this week, it's time to commit to a new budget. Juno shows you how you can wed yourself to a better way of handling finance. The national or world economy is unpredictable. That's not your fault, but you have to do better than just juggle. Fortuna in your other finance, business, charity, shopping, and retail zone suggests that the wheel of fortune just keeps spinning, but the right system could handle that for you. So rather than keeping on moving with what never stays still, economically or financially, this week gives you a chance to stop for a minute and come up with something that's flexible enough to take all the uncertainty. Pisces. Negotiating or not over the money, business, charity, property, or valuables is the story of the week. There may be a reluctance or even a refusal to cut a deal, though, so be aware of that. If you're a woman who is focused on a man. If you are a male Pisces, then it may be you who is musing over negotiations, but you could also be approaching another man who quite clearly could go either way with the numbers or the money. All this points to one thing. You need to be able to get inside the head of the man that you're negotiating with to understand his values, because they may not be yours. If you are the man who has the money, then maybe it's time to clean up the situation or to do a bit of life gardening. This also shows up in your tarot this week. And with that, let's go to your tarot card, which you can decode at my website. Aries, the Six of Pentacles. Taurus, the Nine of Swords. Gemini, the Eight of Pentacles. Cancer, the Four of Swords. Leo, the Wheel of Fortune. Virgo, the Ace of Wands. Libra, the Tower. Scorpio, the Four of Pentacles. Sagittarius, the Ace of Swords. Capricorn, the Star. Aquarius, the Two of Pentacles. And Pisces, the King of Pentacles. Fated connections this week include Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, Scorpio, and or Pisces through money. In your natal chart, on April 19, the Sun enters Taurus, the sign of gold bullion and bull markets and money full stop. On April 20, we have a rare historic Jupiter and Uranus conjunction also in Taurus. If you have Taurus factors, expect the totally unexpected with a house, apartment, business arrangement, charity, sale, purchase, insurance, shares, and so on. Legacies, inheritance, and other opportunities also fall under this umbrella. All eyes on your money and your life budget now until the end of May. If you're curious about this and you do have Taurus factors, there's more at the end of the podcast. If it's your birthday this week and you were born on the cusp, remember, there is no such thing as a cusp. If you have your birth time, place, and date of birth, then you can find out if your sun is in Aries or Taurus by setting up a free chart at astro.com. Babies born this week come into the world with Pluto in Aquarius. Their groups are powerful, and their friends at school will be as important as the family, and maybe more. Famous birthdays this week. include Dave Edmonds, who is 80 on April 15, Peter Garrett, who is 71 on April 16, Chaz Jankel, who is 72 on April 16, Jerry Rafferty would have been 77 on April 16, Dusty Springfield would have been 85 on April 16, Pete Shelley would have been 69 on April 17, Alan Price is 82 on April 19, Robert Smith is 65 on April 21, Mike Barson is 66 on April 21, and finally Iggy Pop is 77 on the 21st of April. Let's talk about the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, which all the astrologers are talking about this week. From May 16, 2023, until May 25, 2024, Jupiter and Uranus will both be in Taurus, the finance sign. This is a rare money cycle. Even if you don't have factors in Taurus, other people do, and there will be a trickle down for you. Opportunities to benefit enormously from sudden change, quite radical change, quite revolutionary change in the world economy are coming. It is what the world needs, and yet strangely, you may find that presidents or prime ministers say no. That can happen too. Looking into the future, though, you will gain by the end of May, when Jupiter is out of Taurus. Circle April 18 to 26, 2024 in your diary as a time to make or save a lot of money. That's when you see Jupiter and Uranus circling at 21 and 22 Taurus. If you have anything in your natal chart at 21 or 22, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, you are in luck as the ripple effect of other people's financial gains spreads out to you, helping your career, academic career, or your unpaid work. So you may be hired or promoted. You may get an offer. People may invest in you. There could be a boom in your chosen field. Jupiter is about opportunity. Uranus is about shock, but also freedom to choose. Put them in Taurus, the sign ruling wages and salary and economies, and we will also see a repeat of a 1941 cycle that changed the world. The biggest change then was basically women going into the workforce and industry itself transforming because of the war. The last time that we saw this cycle in 1941 in Australia, the ACTU pushed for equal pay for women because they were doing men's jobs. 1941 was also the year of Rosie the Riveter. Women were forced to work in male careers because their husbands were at war. All of this changed the world economy and made us all more productive, paving the way for life as it is today. What happens towards the end of April is on that level. It's not just one country, it's many countries. And yet, as I've said, there will be an offer on the table that is out of the blue, and it may be declined by particular prime ministers and presidents. Male or female, if you have anything in your birth chart at 21 or 22 Taurus in particular, you will profit or gain if you take the opportunity, and it will land with a bang. There's also every chance here that we're going to see universal credit and one world currency come up out of the blue as April closes. Universal basic income, or UBI, is an obvious outcome. One world currency, also the same, but it's not Bitcoin. We'll also see tax reform by May 25, 2024, which stops the greed at the top in many countries. And of course, money laundering is going to be tackled. All of this takes us back to old cycles in astrology. Jupiter is always shown with a thunderbolt in his hand by the Romans, who gave us our modern astrology today. They called him Optimus Maximus, the greatest and best. The dramatic, magnificent, booming sound of thunder is a good way to think about Jupiter, as he slowly but surely forms these conjunctions with Uranus at the end of April. So it may be deep discounts, bigger percentage shares, a buyer's market, it may be the sale of the century, It may be an extraordinary offer that changes everything. If you're Aries or Libra, you are the two luckiest signs of all, as Jupiter goes into your second house of personal income if you're an Aries, and the eighth house of joint income if you're a Libra. You could save or make a small fortune by May 25. 1941 tells us about 2024. It's been that long since we've seen this pattern. Lend-Lease was signed into law on March 11, 1941, and it ended in 1945. That was America's $31.4 billion gift to the UK and her other allies. America even sent $11.3 billion to the Soviet Union, $3.2 billion to France, $1.6 billion to China. So Jupiter is big, and that was 1941. Watch for deals and offers, and the last thing that anybody ever expected, watch Russia. This is also one of those cycles, if you're in business, when it's cheerful news for the economy if you back anything that is resonant with Jupiter. So breakfast cereal Cheerios were invented on this cycle. Finally, unemployment dropped and output went up, also on this cycle. That breakfast cereal still holds its own today. In 1941, the world's first working general computer arrived. It was called the 23. It was the great granddaddy of the massive computer industry that we have today. So watch for new inventions and for new investment opportunities as we go through the Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions. Jet planes arrived in 1941, for example. If you're looking at where to invest, look at what's new and out of the blue. 18 through 26th of April is special. Mercury retrograde is also here, so we're going to see a kind of jumble sale or church bazaar atmosphere on the share markets, with prices going haywire. At the moment, what you're going through is the kind of preamble. You can expect shocks and surprises with a massive opportunity to turn around at least one world economy. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I guess it depends on your values. The last time that we saw this pattern, the exact Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, Hitler's deputy, Rudolf Hess, landed in Scotland in a field full of cows to offer Churchill a deal that would have completely transformed the global economy and ended the war. Churchill refused, and Hess went to prison. But the chart shows us something so similar to what's coming up. He was an amateur astrologer, and Hess probably took the flight quite deliberately on the rare Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. He landed on the 10th of May 1941, 2 days after that aspect was exact. With this pattern, we should really be watching what history can show us. Taurus is about values, Churchill's principles, his values, his ethical and moral life budget made the Hitler-Hess bargain deal impossible to accept. The other thing that you'll see in your own life is people grappling with their values. So it's not out of the question, if you have Taurus factors, that you'll be made an offer that you can't refuse, but your own values mean that you refuse it. That can happen too. We've seen some classic proof of this cycle from 2023 to 2024, with pay rises, a drop in supermarket prices, a drop in property prices for some, and a rise in property values for others, depending on your country and its own chart. President Joe Biden drives the US, the world's most important economy, and that economy has broken records during Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. What you're watching for as you go towards May is a chance to be free of a situation that has kept you and others confined or trapped. And sometimes you don't even know that you're trapped. So the Jupiter-Uranus dance at 21-22 Taurus can throw you out of that and shock you into making a decision. If you have anything at 21-22 Scorpio, and or Cancer, it's likely to be about real estate and property as much as it is about, say, the marriage and mortgage or your inheritance. Even if you have any factors at all at 21, 22, other people's financial moves will help you to expand if you want to. At the same time, we can expect things to move really quickly on April 19 and 20 because Mars at 21 Pisces joins the pattern, and Mars always speeds everything up. This is the cycle that brought us McDonald's and Mary Poppins. So, from little things, big things come. Apple began on this cycle, and the World Wide Web. Back in 1941, Jupiter was played by America with its Lend-Lease, helping a long list of nations around the world in a time of great need. More recently, when we saw this cycle in 2023, the Dow Jones hit an all-time high on the 13th of December. Australian property prices went up 8% in 2023, and the wages saw their highest increase since 2009. US homes increased in value 37%. US hourly earnings gained the most since 2022. UK house prices rose at the fastest rate since January 2023. 3 million UK workers received a 10% wage boost. So Taurus, weather is always about money, and Jupiter is a bit like Santa Claus or Father Christmas. What we've not seen to date, though, is the absolute shock factor of Uranus in Taurus too, and that's coming. People always say, well, what can I expect? And the answer is it's completely unexpected. Really, Uranus is one of those planets that you can't preempt. The other date to watch is the new moon at 18 Taurus on Wednesday, the 8th of May. You can allow a day either side of that for world time zone differences. Politicians and big business figures will be using that day around the 8th of May to make dramatic announcements that will affect the share markets. It's also a key date for cryptocurrencies, and there will be deal after deal as Mercury races through Taurus from the 16th of May to the 25th of May. So you have to ask yourself what your bargaining chips will be. That's a lot about money, and it does eventually go away. But for the moment, keep your eyes open. And if you want to use astrology delivery, then go to my website and look at the dates for that, about money, about business, charity and property. And you can share your results at The Astrology Show on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.